Northstar Prepsteader. Well, today I'm going to make chocolate zucchini muffins. Now, you know how much I really like Danielle Walker's recipes and the things that she does, and this recipe is on her blog, and I encourage you to check out her other recipes too, but this one is so good. And because it has some zucchini in it, which is a vegetable, there's a little bit of an element of some healthy to it too. There's no refined sugars, it's gluten-free, it's paleo, and they're so delicious. I'm sure that you will like them. Okay, so I have a zucchini here, and one of the things I need to do is shred it. I need 3/4 of a cup, and obviously this zucchini is going to produce about 2 cups, or 2.5, or maybe even 3 cups. So I'm just going to cut a chunk of this to use that I think will get me about 3/4 of a cup. So I'm going to do this first. Take off a couple of these spots here. You could put this in a food processor, go really quickly. I just actually really enjoy shredding it with a grater. There's something about how it comes out and the hands-on that just gives a really nice product here. Make sure you have a zucchini and not a cucumber. Be careful not to grate your knuckles. I've done that before too. And if you go over it, it's almost a cup, or if you do a cup, that's totally fine. It's not going to mess up your recipe in any way. So I actually have about a cup. But you don't want to waste any of this goodness. And because zucchini holds in a lot of water, a lot of moisture, we're going to let it sit in this tray on paper towels. It's going to help to absorb the moisture. Just spread it out, and you will be amazed in 10 minutes or so how much moisture has gone out of here. So I'm just spreading it out a little bit, and I'm just going to set that aside while we do our other ingredients. Okay, I have all my ingredients out, and I'm just going to be mixing it in my stand mixer. You can certainly do it by hand in a bowl. This just frees up my hands a little bit. So I'm going to start with 4 eggs, and I crack them. I crack them separately in a bowl just to make sure that they're okay. I've had some that haven't been. So 4 eggs go right into the bowl. Then we'll have 1/2 cup of maple syrup. And this is pure local maple syrup. I know the family who does this, and it's like so amazing. Alright, add that to it, and then applesauce. And this is applesauce I made a couple years ago. Still totally good. It was a little thin when I made it, so I'm going to end up still using the right amount here. So we need 1/2 cup. But I'll just add more flour to compensate for that. And add that to the bowl. Put my attachment on. I kind of like this one with the rubber edge because it helps to scrape the bowl as it goes. We'll mix it on medium until everything is well combined in here. There we go, that's better. Alright, so we're going to add 1/3 cup of coconut flour. And if you don't like coconut, you really don't end up tasting this in the end because the chocolate kind of overpowers it. 1/4 cup of cocoa powder. Now the recipe says cacao powder, which is what you could use. That's what I have here, but you can just use regular cocoa powder too. I would stay away from any cocoa powder that actually has like sugar or anything else added to it. 3 tablespoons of arrowroot powder. I'm just going to add them right into the coconut here. 2, 3. 1.5 teaspoons of baking soda. So the arrowroot powder takes the place of baking powder, in case you're wondering. Also it takes the place of cornstarch, so it kind of does both. 3/4 a teaspoon of ground cinnamon. Now, even though this is an old container that I just keep for cinnamon, but this is actually cinnamon that I've ground myself. I get the organic sticks and I just put it in a coffee grinder and I grind it up. So I don't want too much at one time in there. If you guys have never done that, the flavor is incredible. 1/2 teaspoon of ground nutmeg and 1/4 a teaspoon of salt. I'm just gonna kind of mix these in here a little bit so that when they hit the egg mixture, it doesn't like have overpowering thing in one spot. Add this to the mixture. Add the cocoa powder in. And we're gonna mix on low so that all that powder doesn't fly all over the place. And now I can increase the speed a little bit here. All right, we're gonna scrape down the sides and mix it just for another few seconds. That's where it can be easy enough to do it in a bowl by hand. There, you really only need to mix it until it's well combined. So. Okay, I think the thickness is going to be okay. It looks pretty good. I had already added that extra little bit of coconut flour to it, so I think that's going to be just fine. So now we're going to add the zucchini to the bowl here and just blend it up a little bit. The paper towel is pretty wet too. All right, just put it on low. And there we go, it's all mixed in. One thing when working with coconut flour, if you have to add a little bit more or whatever, so we have some on the blade here, it takes a little while for it to absorb. So if you don't see a change immediately, just let it sit for about 5 or 10 minutes and it will thicken up. As you can tell, the only sweetener in here is maple syrup and applesauce. Okay, so I took the bowl off the stand and you have some really nice batter here. The batter is ready to go. Now we're going to add some chocolate chips. And this is one of my favorite brands, the Enjoy Life. They are made with all natural ingredients. These are the semi-sweet mini chips, which I really like. You can use full-size chips or chunks if you want to also. And the only thing in here is some cane sugar, unsweetened chocolate, and cocoa butter. And that's it. It's all the ingredients. So we have 1/2 cup, but we're only going to put half of this into the batter. The rest of them we're going to sprinkle on the top. So about 1/4 of this, 1/4 a cup in here. I'm going to mix that into the batter. Okay, so I'm using my 12-cup muffin pan. You can just spray these and put your mix right into those. I actually like using these baking cups. It's compostable, unbleached, chlorine-free baking cups. Especially dealing with gluten-free baking, they tend to stick to other things and other cups. Even silicone molds I have trouble with, but these are nice. These work really, really well. They got a little square in the box, but they'll round out. And you fill them about 2/3 full. All right, I'm gonna sprinkle some chocolate on top of these. All right, these are going into a preheated oven, 350 degrees for about 25 minutes. So I'm just gonna let them cool for a little bit before I take them out because all this melted chocolate on top is very hot. Thank you so much for coming along with me and baking today. It's just something that I can put in the freezer. They freeze really, really well. I'll put the link below for the recipe. Even though you may be cooking a lot at home during isolation, I encourage you to try to cook healthy too and get creative. Find new things. So you guys take care. God bless. Always have hope. Bye.